Mike, what you doing?
Oh, hey, Janae. Wow. I'm looking down. I'm thinking, wow, spring is finally on its way. I see there's flowers coming up through the ground. I looked over there. There were some new trees growing. Everything is really starting to look really good. Like you're really excited about spring. Hey, Janae, you know what? I hear you're a gardener. So, are you doing anything special for your garden this spring?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm gonna grab a couple of new plants and maybe even buy some compost.
Compost. You know, I always hear people talk about compost. What is compost?
I don't think I'm too sure on the particular components of it. I don't really know.
Well, you know what? I know someone who could help us out. There's a gentleman called Bronson Gentry. He's not too far from here, and his nickname is Mr. Compost. So, guess what? Let's go play him a visit.
Awesome.
Hey, welcome everybody. Remember, we had some questions about compost, and I said I knew someone who could answer those questions. So, guess what? We took a road trip, and guess what? We're on the fertile ground of Mr. Compost, Mr. Bronson Gentry.
How you doing, Mike? Yeah, this is the yard is built on compost.
Okay.
Compost is decomposed organic matter. It's matter that's been broken down into a form where the soil will accept it for nutrients and growth. Why do we need compost? We need compost because compost is nature's way to recycle organic matter from the previous spring, summer, and fall. The matter from the leaves, grass, trees, flowers, even the bugs, insects, and all their body parts is recycled into the soil to make a more fertile and healthier soil. Composting helps the environment in a bunch of ways. One of the ways it keeps organic matter out of the landfill. Go up and down the highway now and you see all these big mountains with pipes, hills with pipes in it. And people say, what is that? There's a landfill and the pipes are emitting off gases. Another reason is those gases affect the atmosphere, called greenhouse gases. One of my favorite benefits and why go hand in hand. It actually puts nutrients in the soil, it builds up a better soil, and it feeds the microbes that runs the soil. No, it doesn't. It takes not that much space. You can do it on your kitchen counter with some containers, with small containers that got the composting filters in it. You can just do it right there, and you can watch your vegetables and fruit parts just decompose on your kitchen counter. You can take more room and go to a container or a tumbler like I have, or you might need more space if you have a big area and you put a bin. So it depends on how much you want to compost, how much food material and yard material you have to feed the compost. So it can go from a very small unit to a very large unit. So we're going to start off with compost. We always need 4 materials. 2 is supplied by us. That is the brown and green, which is brown is carbon, green is nitrogen. The other 2 is oxygen and air. It's ironic. The soil and compost needs the same thing we do. We need what? Oxygen and air. Without the oxygen, none of us, none of them. Without the air and water, none of us, none of them. So composting, compost, soil, and our health depends on each other. So making compost, we can go scientifically, and it's a ratio of 30-1. Or by volume, it's 2-1. So it's going to be 2 parts brown. So we'll start off with some brown. I have shredded leaves, because in this yard, leaves are plentiful. So we're gonna put a little pine needle to start it off. And I'm putting this on the bottom so we can get air to the very bottom. You'll notice I put the twigs in there also to give space for air as it decomposes. Our next layer is going to be the green, which is nitrogen. And in this bag that was frozen from earlier from the winter, you will see cabbage, carrots, apples and oranges and onions and a bunch of different fruits and vegetables. Now at this point, we can water, but we'll just put just a little bit, because in yours it may be dry enough where and large enough, and you will add a little water. You never want your compost to be too wet. It should be just like a wrung out sponge. So you go back, your next layer. But the greens, the nitrogen, is what the bacteria really feeds on before it really gets to the carbon. So at this point, I put my carbon to the side and I add some compost to bring some microbes into the formula or into the batch. You need some good microbes. Quickest way to do it is go back to your last year's compost. Because this compost is a little dry, I will add some water before I add some more green. So at this point, I would add some crushed eggshells. Now my eggshells I have boiled to make sure there's they're clean. There's no too much yolk left. Anything that would cause us a disease or a problem. Mushrooms is a fungus, and the fungi is a very important part of decomposition. Decomposition is done by fungus, bacteria, and all other little critters, insect critters, beetles, worms, but you can have compost, and you can make compost without worms. But I always put on top a layer of carbon. Now you begin to see the layers. Carbon, nitrogen, compost. Can you put anything else in it? Certain things you can put in compost, certain things you can't. You cannot and do not put animal droppings, any kind. Do not put cooked food, diseased plants, and the list can go on. And then, after about a week, I will come out, I will take this whole thing and do what? Turn it. I will mix all the ingredients so that it would just be homogenized with all the greens and browns and cones, twigs, any other information and all the other procedures. You can go to Michigan State's website. My favorite sites are Michigan State, Cornell, Ohio State, and Washington State. And they have very good websites. Some of the little formulas can change a little bit. They might say you'll see 30 to 1, 20 to 1, but the volume basically 2 to 1.
We'd like to thank you, Mr. Bronson, Mr. Compost, and we would like to thank our audience for tuning in. And all I could say is from the fertile ground of Mr. Compost, we like to say Tune in next time and join us at the Detroit Zoological Society and our great community support members like Mr. Bronson on our green journey. So we like to say so long and see you next time.